Hi, I'd like to share with you a moment when I had one of the greatest revelations of my life. And it was while watching a movie. I was watching this movie called Amistad by Steven Spielberg in 1997. Amistad by Steven Spielberg. And in the movie at one point I had an epiphany. And I realized what all native peoples are doing when they communicate with their ancestors. I had a personal direct experience of what they were experiencing and what that experience is like to call upon your ancestors for strength, for guidance, and for assistance. This movie is about a slave ship, and in the 1800s. And at one point the black slaves mutiny against a very mean and cruel captain, and they kill the captain. So at that point, eventually they're captured and they're brought to America to go on trial for murder and mutiny. And of course, in those days, in the 1800s, if you're black and you're a slave and you kill a white ship owner and captain, then you're going to die. But they wanted to go through the facade of a trial. Well, luckily, Cinque, who is the voted leader of the black slaves, he didn't really want to be the leader, but they needed someone to speak for them. And so they pushed him forward and got him to speak for them. So Cinque is working with Anthony Hopkins, plays the lawyer. So it's a very sharp, compassionate lawyer. And Anthony Hopkins prepares Cinque to present the slave's side of the story. And then at one point in the movie, Anthony Hopkins, the lawyer, needs to come and tell Cinque that they've decided, the court has decided, that they're not going to let the slaves represent themselves or speak to the court. They're not going to let the slaves tell their side of the story. Now this enrages Cinque. It absolutely enrages him because he says, how can they do this? How can we not have the right to tell our side of the story? To tell them what was happening from our point of view? And all of a sudden you can see in his eyes, you can see that he realizes that this human court, on this human level, he's not going to get justice. He's not going to get his freedom. And he needs to go somewhere else. That was the realization. You can see him let go of trying to work with and get fairness and justice on the human level. And you see him go to a higher order. You see him go to a higher authority. And at that point he gets very calm. And he puts out his hands. And he says from the depth of his being, and I'll never forget this, it sent chills up my spine, I call upon my ancestors to assist me now. For your whole reason to exist is for me at this moment. I call upon my ancestors to help me now. For at this moment, I am the whole reason that you exist. And right then it's like the heavens parted and I re-experienced all the times that I spent with my shaman teachers and medicine men and their cultures, and when they would communicate and gather strength and guidance from their ancestors, I understood. I had an experience of that connection with our higher self, our greater self, our future self, all ourselves in all their dimensions. And that act of going to a higher authority for guidance, for strength, for freedom. And I've used that ever since. I get back into that space that Cinque was in, of calling upon all beings who've ever experienced freedom, all beings who value freedom, and who have gained their freedom, and calling to them, my ancestors, the ascended masters, my greater self, my higher self, however you frame it, to grant me their wisdom, their strength, their assistance at this moment of need. It's a very, very powerful incantation, prayer, intention to use. Now in the movie, what happened was that the lawyer was inspired, Anthony Hopkins, in court. Now Cinque was not allowed to speak in court, so the lawyer spoke for him. But Cinque, with this invocation to the ancestors, he inspired the lawyer, this is a true story, he inspired the lawyer to call upon the founding fathers. This was at the U.S. Supreme Court. And he called upon our founding fathers. The same idea of calling upon your ancestors. He called upon the wisdom and the guidance of the founding fathers in court. And it swayed the court. And the slaves were acquitted, the slaves were freed, totally free. It was a miracle. And you too can use this to help free yourself. You can also call upon the founding fathers or anyone you know who has connected to their greater self, their higher self. It's very interesting. Since the movie, I did research and discovered that founding fathers, in their diaries, in their journals, they would often call upon higher authority, authority higher than human affairs. They'd call upon their ancestors. They'd call upon those people who've gone before us, who have connected with human equality and liberty. And our whole country is founded on this kind of connection with the higher authority, to break free, to be free, and to have the strength and courage and ability and power to do that. So in your life, if you find yourself in a situation, or right now if you're feeling a condition or a situation that you feel trapped, you don't feel free in it, it feels restrictive, you can invoke this connection to your greater self, to your ancestors, to assist you to have the clarity, the wisdom, the guidance, the power to free yourself. It might be an emotional feeling you want to be free of, a social situation you'd like to be more harmonious. It might be financial. So if you would, maybe take some situation right now where you feel trapped or unfree. And then together we can say with Sinke, the spirit of Sinke, we can call upon the spirit of our ancestors, our greater self. I call upon my ancestors right now to help me. For in this moment, I am the whole reason that you exist. I call upon my ancestors right now. For at this moment, I am the whole reason that you exist. And just let go and allow whatever happens to happen. I always feel a great surge of energy. I feel energy swirling, things shifting, rearranging, opening. And then allow yourself to be guided by signs and synchronicity, however you receive guidance. And it'll help free the situation and free you up for more joy. And so right now I'd like to leave you with a mutual incantation or invocation. Because right now I'm making this video because I would like to assist you to experience more freedom and joy in your life. And I assume you are watching this video because you would like to experience more freedom and joy in your life. So if you would, I will invite you together. Let's call upon the spirit of our ancestors, our greater self, all those that have gone before, higher authority, all those who have experienced freedom, value freedom, enjoy freedom, celebrate freedom, and call upon them right now in this moment to assist us. I call upon my ancestors to help us, for in this moment, we are the only reason that you exist at all. I call upon my ancestors to help me, for at this moment, I am the only reason that you exist at all. Thank you.